So, is the speaker okay here? Are we okay? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Thank you, Mel, for the song, and thank you, Helene and Emily, for the poem. You set the groundwork for what I have to say. So, my own book is a unique program founded in 1999 by a retired lawyer, a fellow named Bert Friedman, who is currently now a member of the New York Society for Ethical Culture. In 1999, Bert was visiting a school and asked the child about their reading experiences, and Bert was surprised to learn that the child had no favorite book and no books at home. So Bert decided to do something about it. He began My Own Book, a program to help children learn to read better, to develop a love of reading, thank you, Mr. Song, and to prepare them for a better and more fulfilling life. In preparation, he discussed this with the Board of Education, not the Department of Education, because it was 1999, and it was determined that the place to do this was third grade. Bert then began a program with 3 Title I schools in Harlem. For those who don't know what it is, a Title I school is a federal classification for schools in low-income neighborhoods where people are less well-advantaged. Just to make it simple, this is the schools where kids get free lunches just by being there. So during the last school year, 2021 to 2022, we, My Own Book, served 40 schools, over 3,700 children, less than our pre-COVID levels, but still doing well, due to various factors, including demographics and population. Do we have the first slide up? I'm sorry. The way the system works is really very simple. We select a school from data we have or a school applies, and the school is evaluated. In the past, this was done by Bert, the founder, together with one other board member who is a retired principal. And we meet with the principal, and if the school understands our goals and methods, we begin to work with them, okay? The next step is a teacher orientation for the third grade teachers in the school where the principal has agreed to participate. Normally, the teachers are extremely cooperative because hopefully they love their jobs and their bosses decided we're doing the program, which is important to us. The teacher orientation and every step from here forward is carried out totally by volunteers. So we have literally one part-time administrator in our organization, and everything else is done by volunteers, except the accounting, tax returns, but basically speaking, the accounting is done by volunteers too. The program is then explained to the children, one class at a time, so that they have the opportunity to ask questions and better understand the goals. And what is the program? The children are told that we value reading and how it can help people to learn and succeed in life. The children are told how reading can be fun and entertaining without the song, but we could do it anyway. A lifetime pastime with a constant flow of pleasure and potential for learning. We explain that we will let them choose and buy their own books. Ergo the title, My Own Book. Books that they want to read, and currently we're at $60 per child that they can spend. We also explain that there are rules. Like life, for all of us, there are rules. We ask that they buy no more than 2 books in one series, so if they like the Magic Treehouse series, they can only buy 2 of them. We ask that they buy at least 2 nonfiction books, a biography, a science book, or whatever. We limit them to 1 graphic novel, which we think is not a better way to go. And the average student can buy about 6 to 10 books in this program. That's about what it winds up being. Enough books to start a home library. No books with stickers or little toys or books for journals or diaries are allowed. We explain these books are for them, not for their little brothers or sisters. They, the siblings, will get their chance when they hit third grade in that school, which means we essentially create for ourselves an obligation to come back to that school every year, and we've done that. Unless the school has phased out of Title I or they have stopped being cooperative by a new principal or whatever. So we explain we want them to get the best value for a book, so we explain to them that paperback books are less expensive than hardbounds. If you can have the same book and you want it, you can get it in paperback, you should do that. We ask them to prepare a shopping list of books they want to buy, working with their teachers after our first visit. This is the beginning of the active and vital and significant role of the teachers, who really are one of the three phases, groups that make the program work. So 1 to 3 weeks after the visit to the school, we arranged for the class to visit a bookstore. In this case, we're using Barnes & Noble. At the bookstore, they're met by the volunteer team, and sometimes additional volunteers to help the children go through the books. We are currently working with Barnes & Noble stores in Staten Island, Park Slope in Brooklyn, Union Square in Manhattan, and Tribeca in Manhattan. Those are the 4 stores we have. There are currently no bookstores, to our knowledge, available in Brooklyn or Queens or the Bronx. Not Brooklyn, I mean the Queens or the Bronx, that can accommodate a school class of kids, 30 kids going around looking for books or have the inventory. It should be understood for those considering volunteering, because we're going to ask people to volunteer, that our volunteers are never responsible for the children. The children are always under the supervision and control of the teaching staff. And normally the teachers come with anywhere from 2 to 3 people from the school, sometimes 4. The children will arrive by bus or by subway, or if they're close enough, by walking. Can we have the next slide, please? Okay, that's good. So then there is the store visit. At the store, first the volunteers do a review of what the rules were and what the program is, so the children know. We explain them the rules. They get a basket or a bag to put the books in as they choose them. We add additional rules, like this is a bookstore, there are little children, no running, no shouting, but generally that's fine. The most satisfying part of the program for me is this time with the kids. You sit with the kids to determine if the book is right for them. You sit with them to see if they can read it. And if it's too hard, you guide them to another book. And if it's too easy, you guide them to having some books that are harder. And so I accomplished to get some kids to get Harry Potter, and some kids to take Hoot, if you know the books, and some kids to take The Hobbit. And so I normally go around, I have a basket of books, say, oh, try this, try that. It's very, very, very encouraging. It can be very disheartening to see how low the reading level is for some children, especially now we have all the migrant children arriving who are coming into our program after 5 days or a week in the school system or less. So, and at the same time, some of the children are such strong readers, it's very encouraging. When the children have chosen their books that work at their level with us, we have to figure out the total value. And this is where the arithmetic or math part of the equation comes in. So they have to figure out how much they're worth. They have to know that $5.99 is $6, $11.99 is $12. If they choose $52 worth of books, they get told to go look for something else. And if they choose $62, well, 62 is okay, but over 62, they're told, well, what do you want to leave behind? And it's an interesting experience to see how they face these decisions. And they all face it well, but it's very interesting to see how they do it. And then at the same time, while we're doing this, we're making sure they have the nonfiction, and we're making sure that they have no more than 1 graphic novel, things like that. Can I have the next slide, please? One more. That's the little girl at the bookstore. I like that photo. And okay, one more, please. I think we're just right. So about 2 to 4 weeks after the volunteer team, after the visit, the volunteer team goes back again, sometimes with other volunteers, to the school to meet with each class individually and ask the children what they thought of the books, how many they had read, what they liked, what they didn't like. This is much more personal than the first visit because we spent time with the children in the bookstore, so we know them and they know us, and it's a little bit better. So that's our program. We have really 3 sets of heroes for my own book. The first is our founder, Bert Friedman, and his wife, Sandra. There's now slowly stepping back after 24 years running the program. Bert is 97. And before COVID, he was going to the classes. He was going to the schools, going up the steps, visiting. So he's really been a shining example. The second set of volunteers, the second set of people we have is our volunteers. These are smart, caring, selfless people who come and go to the schools. And some since COVID, we've lost volunteers since COVID started, mainly because of the fact that our volunteers tend to be all retirees, because you have to be free during the day to go, and some of them got older, and so, but still, and some are handling up to 5 schools. So, and an equally important group are the teachers. Teachers really have stepped up to the plate. If you've been in the schools since COVID and you've seen them, especially we saw them in the last couple of years, they really have been coping with a moving target, okay? It's also very fulfilling. We get letters and thank yous from teachers, from principals, from the students. So I really, to give a fair presentation, I have to address how we handled our program during COVID, because certainly we didn't go to bookstores, huh? In fact, we didn't even really go to the schools. So for the 2020 to 2021 school year, 2019 to 2020, it was really truncated because COVID really arrived. So 2020 to 2021, we created a program with an online catalog together with Barnes & Noble, and our volunteers visited the schools via Zoom and made the presentation, and the children selected books. And Barnes & Noble didn't perform well in delivery. It was really a disappointment. We don't fault them. I mean, they lost a lot of people, they closed stores, everybody had trouble during COVID, but that's what happened. For 2021 to 2022, we partnered instead with Scholastic. And those of you who may know, Scholastic does book fairs for schools all the time. We agreed with them that they would do custom book fairs for us, where they would take out the books with toys, take out the pads, take out the pencils, take out all the other non-reading stuff. And we did our presentations on Zoom. We did our follow-ups on Zoom. A few volunteers actually went to the schools. From a management level, we tried to discourage that. We were afraid of people getting sick, but that's what happened. And so that was when we actually managed to serve 40 schools last year with 3,700 students. But after that year, we did a survey of the schools, and the schools told us, actually they inspired it, that they'd rather go back to the bookstores. 80% of the schools wanted to go back to the bookstores. So we met with Barnes & Noble, and they agreed, a few stores, and the people at Scholastic agreed to continue with the schools that didn't want to go back to Barnes & Noble. And some didn't want to go back because they were afraid of COVID still, they were afraid of arranging transportation and such. Okay. So now there's a link between New York Society and my own book. So Bert had been stepping back and looking for a way to keep the management of my own book going after he would step back further, because he's 97 now, and he came to us when he was 93. And we've had members of NYSEC, New York Society for Ethical Culture, who've been volunteers at my own book for 23 years. One of the original volunteers is still working with us 23 years, Carol Chamlin. We currently have about 8 members of our society participating as volunteers. So that's the story. That's what we do. That's what we accomplish. Sometimes we get hugs from the kids when we leave afterward. It's very, very heartwarming. So I have been, for some years, a climate activist. I'm an Al Gore climate reality leader. I do presentations similar to his 2006 film, An Inconvenient Truth. And I did this once for a group of community leaders at my daughter's house. And I did the presentation. And then she said to me at the end of the presentation, when the people left, she said to me, "But Dad, you didn't tell us what to do." So I will tell you what you can do to help us. That's really important. First, we really need volunteers. I'm on your seats, I put a little piece of paper indicating what we do and how you can contact us to let us know if you're interested in volunteering or if you know people who are interested in volunteering, okay? We normally invite people who are interested to first accompany us to a bookstore. And now it's very hard. It's the end of the school year. But accompany us to a bookstore first to see how the system works, because it's not to take the responsibility of a school, which is not a big deal, is something you shouldn't do until you have a better idea about the program. But working with a school is normally a team of 2 to 3 volunteers. A new volunteer never leads a school. There's always an experienced volunteer leading at every given school. And so the first time, as I said, the orientation is done to the teachers and the school and the children. The orientation to the teachers must be done every year because the teachers change and the program changes. Sometimes it changes. We originally didn't allow graphic novels. Now it's 1 graphic novel. When I first came, it was $50 per child. Now it's $60 per child. So, and one must understand that what the program involves for a volunteer who takes care of a school eventually is 1 morning to visit the school, to go over with the teachers and explain the program to the teachers. Then, let's say there are 3 classes of 3rd graders. There will be 3 mornings at the bookstore. And then 1 morning to go back to the school and review with the classes what they did. So it's 5, or let's say we say 4 to 7 mornings a school year is what we need from that's all we need from a volunteer to help us make the program work. So that's what we need. And then the other thing we need is we need volunteers to help us with administration. If anybody is interested, if anybody knows somebody who's interested in doing that and knows about QuickBooks or fundraising, boy, we could use help. We basically also, for this program to continue successfully into the future, because we don't see a sunset on this program. We think this program is a program that should go on forever if we can. We have to have a more vibrant fundraising program. I mean, figure it out, 3,700 kids times $60 a kid. It's a few bucks. So we have to try to make our fundraising more vibrant. We currently have contributors who contribute to us. But if we want to make it more vibrant and last forever, and we want to expand, and we'd like to get up to more than 3,700 kids, we used to be close to 5,000 before COVID. We'd like to get back there, not because we want the numbers, because we want each individual kid to have the benefit. So, Pat Spencer, who I coordinated with this, said to me that I should explain to you how I relate to my own book to ethical culture. And so I agree. I was raised. I had a Catholic father and a Jewish mother. I was raised without a religion. I wasn't raised in any religion. Ethical culture really is important to me. Before that, the first time I had rules was the Boy Scouts, but that's another question. Anyway, so I believe ethically that we should be fair to everybody. And I've had arguments about, somebody said, well, we should all be kind. I said, but it would be better if we're fair. If we're fair, everybody has an equal start, and they don't wind up losing out because they don't read as well, they don't have the right skin color. So for me, to help people permit to achieve the best for themselves is a way for them to facilitate eliciting the best out of themselves and for us to help them. So compared to me and my kids, for example, these children are not getting a fair shake in terms of their education and upbringing usually. So I think that that's what we can do to be fair, and that's why it helps me be more ethical. So we hope you see the value in our program. If you have questions, I'll answer them. You can volunteer. If you contribute to us, so Bert Friedman, who established the program, and his family, Friedman Harrison Family Foundation, have pledged to cover all the administrative costs. And we have enough money to cover administrative costs, at the current level for maybe 5 or 6 years from them in an endowment. So every dollar that we get is used to buy books for children. Every dollar we get as a contribution is used to buy books for children. So it's, okay. And that's our story. I only have one PS. The PS is that New York One is doing a segment on us, and it's theoretically is airing on Monday between 6 and 9 a.m. We think it will air again more often during the course of the week. If you have New York One on your TV, on your program, you might want to look at it. We're going to try to record it and maybe send it to you. I don't think it's that long. They accompanied us to a bookstore. They've gone to the, I was there. They've gone to one of the classrooms in the post visit. So, thank you.